line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is episode 2 of season 3 of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. It is September 15th, 2022. It's a Thursday. Getting y'all ready for week 2 of the NFL, man. We got a lot of stuff to get into, man. I'm your guy Scott. No, I'm your guy Scott. You know, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Barberchair Scott. You can follow the H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram. Follow the Barberchair Network at Barberchair Net on Twitter and Instagram. Visit thebcnet.com. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barberchair Network. We got 3 different tiers for the Patreon. If you just want to hear Summer Sessions episodes, which we got a new one that's out today, you can subscribe to the $5 Summer Sessions package. If you just want the 79th and Hallis package, you can subscribe to the $5 package for that one. And also, we have the all access package too that you guys can subscribe to. So I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of stuff that we got to talk about today, man. Shout out to my super producer Pappy here. Shout out to TPJ and everybody like that. Thank you for everybody who checked out the episode last week. And let's get into it, man. Let's get into the my sound off for the week. Also, we're real quick announcement. I said we were going to do twice a week, and we will do twice a week on days that I'm not traveling. I forgot that, I'll be doing practice and traveling on some Mondays. But in October, we should be able to do 2 episodes a week. So it won't be an episode on Monday because I'll be going to Green Bay, cover Sunday Night Football. Just wanted to get that out of there. But let's start with my sound off, man. My sound off is to you salty San Francisco 49er fans. That is who I am dedicating this to. Because there was a lot of y'all my mentions these last couple weeks, heading into the Bears' first game against them last week in a very rainy Soldier Field. I was drenched. The only thing worse than being super wet from basically a monsoon is being under air conditioning for almost 4 hours. And that was really something. I felt like I was going to get pneumonia, but I digress. I had a lot of y'all my mentions. Forget the part that, the national media didn't give the Bears a shot. National media thought Trey Lance was going to come in there, drop 3-4 touchdowns, and the Bears would just have no shot whatsoever. The defense was going to swallow Justin Fields up. All y'all going out like some hoes right now. All y'all was tweeting all these things, and I can't get my stuff off after the team win. I can't talk. All of a sudden, it's enjoy your Super Bowl. Justin wasn't doing that good. Yeah, he did better than your boy, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear about rain. I don't want to hear about penalties. You're supposed to play smart football. And if you don't play smart football, it's on the coach's fault. It's on the player's fault. Maybe the God's gift to football, Kyle Shanahan, should have had his team more prepared. Both teams played in the same weather. And I was at the game. I saw the Niners basically dominate the Bears in the first half in the same weather. So when adjustments were made at halftime and Justin played better, Luke Getsy called better plays, the running game looked better, the offensive line blocked better. Then all of a sudden, we want to blame the rain. I don't want to hear that. If the shoe was on the other foot and the Bears had lost, we wouldn't hear nothing about the rain. We wouldn't be hearing nothing about penalties. It'd be a whole bunch of, well, see, this is the type of performance they're going to give from the Chicago Bears all year. Justin Fields is put in a terrible position. There's no wide receivers. There's no talent, blah, 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 blah. And this is something where I do feel like there's a national media bias when it comes to the Chicago Bears. What that reason is, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the Knicks a little bit, where I feel like the national media likes this team being the punching bag. And when they do win games, which isn't a lot of times, but when they do win games, they don't want to give them the proper credit. But I'm just specifically talking about the fans here. You took a loss, accept it. I don't think the Niners are going to have a bad season. I think they'll have a chance to get one of those 3 wild card spots. And I do think Trey Lance will play better than what he's played this past Sunday. I still don't think he's going to be that good of a quarterback just because I don't trust project quarterbacks. And if you look at every performance he's had that he's played in, if you look at the 2 starts he had last year, the start he had this year, and really all of preseason, the boy's only completing 50% of his passes. That is not good. And you've got a team that, like I said last week, that is full of veterans who are dropped interception away from going to their second Super Bowl in just 3 years, the pressure is going to hit. If they don't win this Sunday against Seattle and against Geno Smith, it's going to get very hot in the kitchen for Mr. Trey Lance. So just take your L. I don't want to hear any crying. I don't want to hear any excuses. The fact of the matter is the Bears made the plays that they made to win the game. Justin did not have the greatest game. I'm not going to sit up here and act like he dominated or anything. I mean, he only had seven. They only threw the ball 17 times. But when it was time to make plays, he made plays. 2 touchdown passes, a couple big third down conversions, made plays with his feet, and did what he's supposed to do to win a football game. That's what you're supposed to do. If Trey Lance did the same thing, having a rough first half and made plays to win a football game in the second half, that's all we be hearing about Trey Lance. Look at how he responds. This is going to be how he's going to lead this team. So that's all I'm saying. Take your loss, Niners fans. It's okay. You're going to be better for it. You might win a lot of games, but one of those games you didn't win was against the Chicago Bears. So hold that. Now, let's get into our rundown, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to recap week one. I'm going to give you guys a couple of my top headlines that came out of week one. I'm going to give you my week one power rankings, and then we're going to go into our week two preview. I'll give y'all my most watched games, give y'all some picks of what I think is going to happen. Later on in the show, we're going to talk a little bit of MLB and a little bit of NBA before we get to our rookie mark of the week. So let's start with one, Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson's coming off a great performance in his first game of the season against the New York Jets, where they just flat out dominated them, getting their first win of the season. But the news coming out of Baltimore from week one is not about his performance against the Jets. It is about his contract situation that has been going on really all offseason. He's in the final year of his rookie deal. He wants to get a new contract. He set a cold deadline for week one of him not having a contract, and he wasn't going to discuss it anymore until the offseason. That date came and passed, and we all kind of had an idea that we would get contract details on what exactly those numbers were looking like, probably around kickoff, and that's exactly when those terms dropped. And this is coming from ESPN's Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter. So Lamar Jackson turned down a 5-year extension, which is worth over $250 million with $133 million guaranteed at signing. Now, those sound like massive numbers. One thing you got to look at with the NFL contracts is guaranteed money. That is the only number that matters. This contract would have took him through the 2027 season, and it would have had, a total of maybe about $274 million over the next 6 years. And this would have him at a higher annual salary than Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, who just got paid. But this is the issue here. This guaranteed money is about $100 million short of the $233 million guarantee that Deshaun Watson got from Cleveland. And this is something that when the deal happened, I said on the show that was going to mess up the QB market, and it was really going to change some things for some guys who were, more deserving. And I do feel that, when it comes to, actually passing the ball, I feel Deshaun Watson is a better thrower than Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson is one of the best players in the NFL. He has a more decorated NFL career than Deshaun Watson by far. The dude already has an MVP. His numbers are, just as good or as better. So he deserves, and he has more playoff success than Deshaun Watson. So he deserves the same amount of money. He's going to hold out to get that money. I know there's a lot of people out there upset about this. And Lamar, take the money you can get right now. I have no problem with any player in any sport betting on themselves. It means you're accepting the consequences of I might get hurt and I might not get any money at all. But if I do overplay this contract, I'm going to make even more money than I am right now. So I appreciate that risk. And for the most part, Lamar Jackson's been relatively healthy in his career, especially for a guy with his running style and the way he plays football. A lot of those quarterbacks get hurt a lot. So he has been relatively healthy. Now, I am in the camp of people who think that he should have an agent. I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Roquan Smith situation. And that's not to say that, him or any other player can't negotiate their own contracts. But I do feel like it's more of a smoother transition when you have a middleman that's talking between you and the organization. But with this particular situation here, I have no problem him playing out his 5th year. I think him and Patrick Mahomes are going to be on an FU World Tour. I think they're going to go out there, put out crazy numbers, lead their teams to a lot of wins, and it's going to leave the Ravens no choice but to pay him. And if they don't want to pay him, trust there's going to be some other team out there who is more than willing to pay Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you just look in his home state of Florida, look in Miami. We don't know what Tua is going to be like. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of question marks there. That could be a potential landing spot. And now the Ravens do have the option to franchise tag him over the next 2 years. This can happen, but I like this move by Lamar, and I think it'll pay out for him. So much respect to Lamar, and I hope he gets his contract, man. The Ravens need to just go ahead and pay that man. There's no point in playing hardball with one of the biggest superstars in the NFL and a guy who is already probably the best quarterback in franchise history. I mean, you look at the Ravens prior to Lamar Jackson. I mean, they had that nice little 1 or 2 years with Steve McNair, but they've never had really even a good quarterback. I mean, you got Flacco. Flacco was nice. I guess I'll give Flacco a little love. I almost forgot about him, but I would still probably take Lamar Jackson. You know, Flacco had that little 4 week period where he called the Holy Ghost and he won a championship, but I would probably still give it to Lamar, man. So pay the man. So let's get into our week one recap, man. It was a very entertaining week one. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of stupid finishes, a lot of stupid finish alerts. Really close games. There's probably like maybe one or two blowouts, but for the most part, it was a very entertaining Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Monday Night Football game was even better than expected. So I'm gonna hit y'all with my couple headlines coming out in this coming out in this week one. I think the number one, I mean, the one of the headlines right now on top headlines is the Buffalo Bills looking like the overwhelming favorite. Now, last week I changed my Super Bowl pick to the Rams winning back to back, and it was really more of how many times does a clear favorite actually win a Super Bowl more than it was my actual faith in the Rams. And let's be clear, I'm not standing on this pick. I'm probably wrong. I'm just doing one of those because it's the beginning of the season, and anybody got to give their too early Super Bowl pick. But these guys went out last week, like I predicted on this show. I said the Rams were going to lose last week. They went out there and just flat out punched the Rams in the mouth. Josh Allen looked incredible. Stephon Diggs looked incredible. That defensive line looked incredible. Von Miller looked like he was worth every dollar. They were basically power driving Matt Stafford into the ground of SoFi Stadium. It was just an overall complete team effort, and they looked like the team that was ready, to have this incredible season that everybody's packing them out to be. They just lost Brian Daboll to the New York Giants, the offensive coordinator. University of Miami former quarterback Ken Dorsey comes in. He called a great game. Nice little balance between the run and the pass, and just really took the Rams out of it. And even though it was a close game at halftime, it was like a 10-point game, it never really felt that close. It always felt like the Rams had to do a lot just for it to get close. And they just went out there and just punched them in the mouth. And they're really setting the tone for what the season could potentially be. And they look like every bit of the contender that everybody thought there was going to be. And it's a long season. They have 16 more games left. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. But as of right now, they're looking pretty good, man. So I'm gonna have to go with the Bills as one of my top headlines coming out in week one. Another one I have to go is the injuries. One thing about the NFL, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when players are gonna get hurt. We had two major injuries in week three. Actually, three major injuries in week one. We had Seattle Seahawks safety Jamal Adams, who just got confirmed today by Ian Rappaport. He is going to be out for the rest of the season with that knee injury. Did not look good when he got carted out on Monday Night Football. The Steelers, who had a pretty impressive win against the Cincinnati Bengals. I definitely didn't see Joe Burrow throwing 5 picks in his first game. TJ Watt had a great game. A lot of y'all was lying about Mr. Trubisky's performance. I saw a lot of people tweeting he was dominating. I have seen every start of Mr. Trubisky's, and I was like, let me go back, sit this. I got NFL Plus. Let me sit down and watch this game. I watched the game. It was a typical Mitch start. A lot of overthrows, a lot of underthrows, and a couple wild plays. But anyway, he made the plays to get the job done. But TJ Watt came out of there with a torn pec. At first, he came out and said he wasn't going to be on IR, and he'll be back soon. But today, the Steelers announced they were putting him on IR. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks. But a torn pec usually keeps you out for the entire season. Now we know those Watt boys, they know they like their deer antler spread. He could be back in week 7, week 8. I'm not expecting it. I think TJ Watt is going to be out for the rest of the season, and that's going to be a tremendous blow to this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And the other one will be Dak Prescott, who injured his thumb in their 19-3 loss to Tom Brady and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think the worst thing about this for Cowboys fans was he injured it at the end of the game when the game was pretty much over. And they're the Cowboys don't want to put him on IR. We all know how hard-headed Jerry Jones is. He says he'll be back in 4 weeks. I call cap. I don't think that boy is gonna be back. I think he's gonna miss at least 6 to 7 weeks. I don't know what they're gonna do about the backup quarterback position. I don't know if they're gonna stay with a Cooper Rush. I don't know if they're going out there and trade for a backup quarterback to bring him in to hold down the fort for a little bit. But this has just so far been the season from hell from the Dallas Cowboys. Then we only 1 week into. Of course, we know Tyrann Smith got injured. Of course, Dak Prescott getting injured. And this is coming off the very underwhelming offseason that the Cowboys had. So it's not a good start for them. I really feel bad for Cowboy fans. And I usually don't ever feel bad for them because they're very loud. But this is not a good start for them, man. So those are just three major injuries coming out of week one. Let's go to another storyline. Monday Night Football. Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. Big Geno Smith performance. I love the quote he said. They tried to write me off, but I ain't right back though. Of course, that was on a lot of Instagrams because niggas are very original. But this was homecoming for Russell Wilson, and I was not expecting this. I think I've pretty much underestimated the relationship between Russell Wilson and Seahawks fans, not only the Seahawks fans, but Seahawks players and the coaching staff, specifically Pete Carroll. They booed the crap out of Russell Wilson on Monday night. And that was something I feel like probably shook Russ, and he didn't really recover from it in this entire game. I do believe he thought he was going to go out there and get the crowd, the loud applause for his appreciation and his time there, help bring this team to Super Bowl. But these fans were not having it. I'm pretty sure they were upset over the last 2-3 seasons of him basically, politicking to get his way out of Seattle. And we know the beef that happened between him and Pete Carroll. We know the post-game comments that Pete Carroll had and basically saying, yeah, we wanted to show there's a reason we got rid of this guy. The Seahawks are really jazzed up. The defense was ready. The offensive players were ready. And they just went out there and set the tone and won this game. Now, I do not think Seattle is going to play like this every week. I do think this is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Much respect to Geno Smith for having that performance. I think he's going to be the Geno Smith we all know and love for the remainder of this season. But they went out there and set the tone. And it just really shows you that how this fallout between the Seattle Seahawks fans and Russell Wilson was deeper than expected. I mean, you can just even look from the way that Russ dressed. He knew he was going to get, a standing ovation from that little Bojangles suit he had on. But this is something that I feel like, fan bases, while I probably wouldn't have booed them because you brought us a championship, I can understand why fans would get upset when their franchise guys basically saying, yo, I won out. Now, I think the number one storyline coming out of this game, out of this week, is actually from this game. Rookie head coach Nathaniel Hackett, head coach of Denver Broncos. It's his first game as a coach. Of course, he's offensive coordinator last year for the Green Bay Packers. And he went out there and he had a very rocky start. A lot of rocky calls, but none bigger than that 4th-and-5 decision at the end of the game to go for a 62-yard field goal, which would have been the longest make in NFL history, to win instead of having a franchise quarterback, a guy you just paid $200-some million to a week or two ago, go out there and try to convert that first down. And I thought that was just something that was just doesn't make any sense to me. You win, you lose with your best player. And that's easily Russell Wilson. If he goes out there and doesn't convert the first down and you lose by a point, you're like, well, we went out there with Russ. Instead of the situation they're in now, you're like, maybe we should win with Russ and thinking about this field goal, especially a field goal that doesn't get made. It's a 62-yard field goal. It like never happens. You got to even look at how to weigh those options out. You have to be better at situational football. Situational football is how you win games. And it was just a terrible start for Nathaniel Hackett, something that I just didn't understand then. And even almost a week later, I don't understand anymore. And he knows the situation. He knows he messed up and, basically coming out to the press and saying like, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. So he's a rookie coach. It was his first time. He will get better, but that was definitely a very head-scratching moment and actually a loss that they can't afford. They're in the AFC West, which is going to be a fatal four-way match this entire season. And I know it's only week one. You can't put too much dip on your chip, whether you win or you lose in week one. But you don't want to take any more, steps back in this division, especially when you got the two top dogs in the division, the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers, both winning their games. So that was something that was not the best start for the Broncos, but in the long term, I think they'll be fine. Now let's get into my week one power rankings. We're going to do these power rankings every week. I'm going to name my 10 best teams from each week. This is not a season power ranking. This is a weekly power ranking. So these things will fluctuate, man. So let's start with my top 10 teams of week 1. With number 10, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. Yes, they got eviscerated by the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon. Justin Jefferson went crazy. Kirk Cousins went crazy. Aaron Rodgers did not throw for a touchdown, due for a pick. He got sacked a lot of times. It was not a good game for them. But I have seen this story before. I am not counting 12 out. I'm not counting his Packer team out, even though I think this is the worst roster he's had maybe in his time as a starter. I'm not counting them out. They will be fine in this division. And also, the Minnesota Vikings are very fluky. I think they'll be okay in the long run. Just a rocky start for them. They do have my Chicago Bears coming up this weekend on Sunday Night Football. So that's probably, I hate to say it, that's a get right game for them. They'll probably bounce back. So I'm going to put them at my number 10, not pushing the panic button on them yet. So I had them at number 10. And number 9, we're going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're already seeing a rapport between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. They had a pretty good connection on Sunday against Detroit. They were beating the crap out of Detroit early on. But the reason they're only number 9 on my list is they took their foot off the gas. They let the Lions come back, cut it to one possession game. They only won by 3. Now, the defense was able to close the door and stop the possibility of the Lions actually winning this game. But they gotta tighten up some things, man. You don't want to be in a barn burner with the Detroit Lions in the first week of the season. I'm not buying none of that crap you saw on Hard Knocks. I'm just not. So I'm going to put the Eagles in number 9. And number 8, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens had a blowout victory against the New York Jets in New York. Looked like a well-oiled machine. Couple great touchdown passes by Lamar Jackson, especially that real deep touchdown pass that looked very, very impressive. I think this is a team who is going to be in this fight with the Cincinnati Bengals for the AFC North. And I thought this was a very good start for them. So I'm going to put Lamar and the Ravens at number 8. And number 7 is going to be a team that lost on Sunday. Cincinnati Bengals, not the best start for Joe Burrow, threw 5 interceptions. Pretty much got manhandled by that Steelers defense. But stay calm. They will be fine. They'll be good. If you think Joe Burrow is throwing multiple picks every game, I got something coming for you. Even in this game went down to a field goal possession at the end. They still had a chance to win. Jamar Chase had a great game despite Burrow throwing 5 picks. They will be fine. No need to panic on the Cincinnati Bengals. I've got them at 7. Number 6, I'm going with another 1-0 team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady had a couple pretty throws, had a couple touchdowns, had a nice one-hand touchdown by Mike Evans. Julio Jones had a great game. This was a signing when it first happened. I was like, Julio's kind of washed right now. And it's kind of funny, me being the biggest Tom Brady fan that I know, I was like, well, he's with the GOAT. He should be fine. He had a couple great plays a couple great balls that Tom Brady threw to him. That's probably going to be a connection we're going to see all season. Now, the reason I have them pegged so low is because this Cowboys team isn't really good. Now, granted, I think the defense is pretty solid, but 19 points, I don't like. And just off that, I feel like they should have put up at least 30. I'm going to have them at 6. Number 5, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings are a team that a lot of people are high on. Even I think are going to be a pretty good team. I do think they're going to be one of the wild card teams. And I think this is going to be a legit division race in the NFC North between the Vikings and the Packers that I think will probably go down to the last couple weeks. But this all comes down to Mr. Kirk Cousins. And we had good Kirk Cousins on this Sunday. Good Kirk Cousins. Couple great touchdowns. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the league. And, he's probably the best skills position player in the NFC North by far, not including quarterbacks, obviously. He had a game. Dalvin Cook looked good. The defense looked good. That was a great start to come out here and go up against your number one rival in this division, punching them right in the mouth. So I'm going to put them at 5, but it's the Kirk Cousins experience. He looks elite one day. He looks mediocre the rest. This team is only going to go as far as Kirk Cousins takes them, but this is a great start for them. I'm going to put them at number 5. And number 4, I'm going to have a team that lost this week too. It is going to be the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Nobody should be panicking right now. Nobody on planet Earth should be panicking about this team. They will be fine. Those ring nights, man. These players really aren't thinking, about the game. They're still thinking about last year, thinking about winning the Super Bowl, thinking about what they're gonna do hitting the club that night. They saw the banners, they got their rings. It was a festive atmosphere. They'll be fine. They got a nice get right game this week against the Falcons. They'll be cool. I think they're gonna have a great season. Matthew Stafford's gonna bounce back, even though he had a typical not even a stat Padford game, but a typical turnover Matthew Stafford game. He'll be fine. Jalen Ramsey will not get cooked like he got. They still have Aaron Donald. They still have Bobby Wagner. They'll be fine. Now, with that being said, Mr. Allen Robinson, I'm on you this whole season, dog. I'm on you. You was talking all that crap last year, and you went out there and you put out a very MIA type performance. And there was even a clip where it looked like Matthew Stafford said he can't go up and get the ball. If I had $1 for every time I saw that in his tenure with the Bears, I'd be a millionaire. I'm looking at him. If there's anything, there's two things that Ryan Pace did for me. It's one, draft Justin Fields, and two, not paying him $20 million a year, man. So I'm on him. He's the only, ex-Bear that I'm on. I love Khalil Mack, wish him well. Love Akeem Hicks, wish him well. With everybody else well. I'm on you, A-Rob. I'm on you all season, bro. Now we're going to get into our top 3 in the power rankings. At number 3, I'm going to go with the other SoFi resident, the Los Angeles Chargers. Jay Herbo, man. My man Jay Herbo, Justin Herbert, another great performance, 4 touchdowns. They looked amazing. The defense looked amazing. My dog, 52 deuce. Khalil Mack looked amazing. He had a strip sack. He had 3 sacks altogether. A very great performance. I know a lot of Bears fans were salty. The problem, and it's not all Bears, some Bears fans, the production was never the issue with Khalil. When he was healthy, he played like Khalil Mack. It's just the last 2 seasons, really after 2018, he was just hurt all the time. When he's healthy, he can dominate. And when you got a defense as stacked as this is with Joey Bosa coming off the edge, you got Derwin James behind you, you got that great secondary, he's going to step up and play well just like he did on Sunday. And they had a great win against the Raiders, another division opponent, made Derek Carr look like Derek Carr. I'm going to put the Chargers at number 3. And number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs, who also play tonight against these Chargers I just named. Patrick Mahomes, man, my dog Pat went out there. He is on an FU tour. Everybody doubting this man. He doesn't have Tariq anymore. What's he gonna do? 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns on the Cardinals' head. Didn't even break a sweat. He looked good. The running game looked good. Travis Kelce looked good. The defense looked solid. He's going to remind a lot of y'all all season, man. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs number 2. And no surprise, is my number 1. It's the Buffalo Bills. Like I just said not too long ago, dominant performance on the road, knocking the defending champions in the mouth. They might be number 1 on this list for a lot of weeks. Can't have a better performance than what they had. Von Miller looked incredible. It was just a great performance all the way together, man. So that's what I've got for my week 1 recap. Now, let's get into our week 2 preview, man. Week 2 starts off tonight, live from Arrowhead Stadium for the first Thursday night football video. First Thursday night game of the season. Actually, second, but the first on Amazon. And by the way, I tweeted this today. I don't know how many of y'all know that this game is only on Amazon Prime. I don't know how many of y'all know that, but if you don't, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people who'll be sending $16 to Jeff Bezos by the time it hits 8 p.m. Eastern. Pretty sure about that. But before I get into my picks, I'm going to give y'all my top 3 most watched games for week 2. I'm going to go with number 3. I'm going to start off with Bears-Packers. This is why I say this is going to be a must-watch game. Look at the tail of the tape here. Now, as a Bears fan, I'm not naive to the situation. They destroy us. I think we've beaten Aaron Rodgers maybe 4 times in his entire career as a Packer. Hasn't been that much. We ain't beat them in 3 years since that division clinching game in 2018. So it's been a while. But you got to look at the story from this perspective. And I'll give my full breakdown, full preview on this on the 79th and Highlands preview pod. Me and my brother Flo will be breaking down this episode, which will be on our Patreon tomorrow, patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. So I'll give my prediction and everything there. But this is a big game for both teams. If you're the Packers, I know you're coming into this game. Aaron Rodgers probably didn't even look at any film this week. They're probably not even respecting the Bears as they probably should, and they own them. As he said last year, they're probably taking the Bears very lightly. They're like, this is a get right game for us. We go in there, dominate the Bears like we always do, go on 1-1 and continue the way we are. But if they lose, now they're 0-2, not just 0-2, 0-2 with 2 losses in the division. That is not a way you want to start your season off, especially with the least talented wide receiving core that Aaron Rodgers has had by far in his time as a Green Bay Packer. And for the Bears are a very young team. You got a lot of players on this team who don't really know or really care. Well, I won't say care because a lot of them, practice this week was saying, how much they know about the rivalry, but they haven't been in these losses against Aaron Rodgers. Justin Fields has only played 2 games against them. Eddie Jackson and Roquan Smith probably the only ones who are this versed into the rivalry and taking all those beatings that Aaron Rodgers is giving them. This is a young team that's just going out there. They're playing, young and playing free, not really thinking about the consequences of this rivalry. That might play in their favor. And on top of that, this is a new and improved, revamped secondary for the Bears. Had a great game last week with Eddie Jackson getting his first pick in 3 years. Jaquan Brisker looked good. Kyler Gordon looked good. Jalen Johnson looked good, forcing the fumble. And they're going up against a very light wide receiving core. Now, that being said, Alan Lazard can go out there and make plays, but this isn't like last year where it was a makeshift secondary and they were just pretty much able to do whatever they want. So that's going to come in handy. Now, on the flip side, the Bears have a very strong secondary they're going to be going up against with Jair Alexander and Rasul Douglas. It's not going to be easy for them either. But if the Bears can go out there, set the tempo, stay in this game, make it close, and put the pressure on them, I think it's going to give them a great opportunity to win this football game. And if the Bears win that, this changes the fortunes of their season very, very quickly. So this is going to be a game where I do think the Packers will win. I'll give you my score on 79th and Hallis, but this one I think is going to be a competitive game, man. So I think it's going to be a game that's going to be very good and a good Sunday night football game for a lot of people to watch this week. My number 2 most watched game of the week, must-watch game will be the second half of a Monday Night Football doubleheader we got this week. Of course, we'll start off with the Bills facing the Titans back at home, and this one here will be Vikings and Eagles in Philadelphia. The Eagles home opener. Both teams won in week 1. The Eagles have a chance to, go out there, plant their flag, go up 2-0 in this division. Same thing with the Vikings. Is Kirk Cousins going to be consistent? What's Jalen Hurts going to look like? How's this going to happen? Who's going to guard Justin Jefferson? This is a very, early, sneaky, good matchup that I think is going to be very, very entertaining. And it's really going to kind of show, really more for the Vikings more than the Eagles. Because even the Eagles go out here and lose this game, they're in the division with Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, and now Dak's out for at least a month. So even if they lose, it's not the end of the world. But for the Vikings, this game is huge. Going up against a team that is favored to win their division and a team where they can go out here and say we're 2-0 in the Aaron Rodgers division and really plant their feet in this division. So I'm going to go that with number 2. But my most watched game of week 2 is tonight's game at Arrowhead Stadium, Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers, man. We got 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL going at Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns last week. Justin Herbert threw 4. This is going to be a very, very, very competitive game and a great way for Amazon to kick off their new slate of games. And if you look at the Thursday Night Football schedule this year, it's not your father's Thursday Night Football anymore. We got a lot of competitive games this year, so this is going to be very entertaining and a real good way to kick off this season, man. So that's what I've got for my 3 must-watch games of week 2. Now we're going to get into some picks. Last week, out of the 16 games, I had 11-4-1 record. So pretty good. We're going to keep a tally of this all season of my weekly and my overall season record. Of course, that one tie came in that terrible Colts and Texans game, which both of them should be ashamed, which any team that ends in a tie should be ashamed of themselves, period. And we also had a couple games that almost got there. Steelers and Bengals almost got there. Saints and Falcons almost got there. So we could have had a lot more, but pretty impressive week for me. I'm not a gambler, so I don't do the lines and stuff, even though we are having a gambling podcast coming soon on the network. Shout out my homie Mikey. Look out for that. But let's just get into our picks. Let's get into our picks tonight. Chiefs and Chargers. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a good game. I think whichever defense makes the most plays is going to win this one. That being said, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs because I think that Patrick Mahomes is on a mission. I think the Chiefs are on a mission, and the Chargers do Charger stuff from time to time. And Patrick Mahomes ain't Derek Carr. You're not getting all them turnovers you got last Sunday, and you're at the road on the road home opener. All them Chiefs fans gonna be going wild. That racist chop chant is gonna be ringing out through that arena. I think the Chiefs win this one tonight to go to 2-0. We got a couple ugly games on schedule this week. A very skippable game, Browns at Jets. The Browns was one of my losses last week. Even though Baker had a solid game, the Browns came through, got a field goal winning game with Jacoby Brissett and those guys. And I think they're going to move to 2-0, which I can't believe. They're going to move to 2-0 because they're playing the sorry Jets. The Jets are bad. I don't have a lot and faith in a lot of these QBs, but I will go with the black man, Jacoby Brissett, over Joe Flacco. So I'm going to go for the Browns to go 2-0 this week at the crib in their home opener with that little stupid elf that they got in the middle of that field. Then we got the Lions and the Commanders. The Commanders, you got, good Carson Wentz, but shout out to Pat McAfee, what he said. If you ever watch the Commander fan, don't get happy. There's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys in this Carson Wentz ride. And there's a lot more valleys than there are peaks when it comes to this guy. And the Lions, for the first time in God knows how long, are favorited by double digits in the game. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm picking Detroit. They at the crib. They showed some fight last week. Even though they lost, they showed some fight. Did not roll over when they probably could against a playoff caliber team in the Eagles. They came back, fall back. I think they get a win this week. At the crib, over the Commanders. I'm going with Dan Campbell's boys in this one. Then we've got one of the greatest, one of the most fun rivalries, Bucks and Saints in the NFC South. Jameis and the boys coming up with a very clutch win. Nice clutch comeback win against the Atlanta Falcons last week. Him and Michael Thomas looked really good late in that game. That's going to be very exciting. And then also Tom Brady and them. Now, this funny thing about Tom Brady since he's been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer is even though they've won the division last year, I don't think that he's beaten the New Orleans Saints yet as a Buck. If they have, it's only been one time. The Saints have had a really good game plan every time they face the Bucks and Tom Brady. So we're gonna see if that continues here. But I do think that you're not gonna beat Tom Brady too many times. This defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is probably their strong suit, the best thing they have. Even though Chris Godwin's gonna miss a couple weeks because of hamstring, I do feel like the Bucks gonna go out there and get a dub. I think they're gonna be at the crib, and I think they're gonna win. Even though the Saints won last week, it was not an impressive performance. Didn't look good for me. The Falcons had no business losing that game, and even though I have the Saints as my most impressive, team of this, one of my sleeper teams of the season, not a good start. And then a lot of stuff they pulled last week against Marcus Mariota, they're not gonna be able to pull against the GOAT. So I'm gonna go with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers for this one. And then we have another skippable game, Panthers and Giants. The Giants had a real nice clutch win last week against the Tennessee Titans. Saquon looked amazing. Daniel Jones looked terrible, but they came out and got the win. And the Panthers, even though Baker had a solid game, couldn't pull it out. But I'm not buying. I think both these teams are not going to be good, but I still think uh, that the Giants are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Period. I'm not buying that last week, and I think the Panthers are going to come out here and get a dub. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield and the crew to get this W over the Giants. Then we've got a game that is going to be pretty interesting here. Patriots with their home opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mr. Trubisky coming off a 2-touchdown game last week. The Patriots offense looked terrible. It didn't look, it looked as bad as it looked in the preseason. We heard the rumors coming out of Patriots camp, especially with them having no offensive coordinator, which director they're going to go since Josh McDaniels left. That being said, I think the loss of TJ Watt is going to hurt this defense. And I just don't trust Mr. Trubisky because he's my quarterback for 4 years, and I know how this dude get down. And I think that it's going to be a very low-scoring game, but I have more faith in Belichick's defense to shut down Mr. Trubisky, and I think it's going to be one of them ugly games, but I do think the Patriots will pull this one out. And then we've got the Colts and Jaguars. The Colts had a tie against the Houston Texans in a very disgusting game. The Jaguars went out there. The Jaguars went out there and they lost to the Commanders. And man, I love Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence was rightfully the number one draft pick. I'm not gonna give up on a man, even though he had a very rough game. I still think that he's gonna be a good quarterback, but this is not a good start. This is not a good start, especially all that money they paid for them overrated wide receivers. The offense looked discombobulated. He didn't look good. He was, making a lot of errant passes, a lot of passes that didn't make any sense. And I don't think that they're gonna be able to, you know, bounce back. Even though they have beaten the Colts the last couple times, the Colts will be at home, their home opener. I think they'll shake that off, and I think the Colts will go out there and get that W. Now we've got the Ravens and Dolphins, which is a sneaky good game here. Both teams got a dub last week. We all know how I feel about Tua. Tua had a couple ducks in that game, but Baltimore Ravens will be at the crib. Lamar's gonna be ready. And I think the Ravens gonna go out there and win this one. I do really think it's gonna be a nice little tight race in the AFC North between Joe Burrow and the Bengals and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So I'm gonna go with Lamar and them, man, to get this W over the Miami Dolphins. Then we got the Rams at SoFi hosting the Atlanta Falcons. This is your typical get right game. And this is a game they need because they need to get back in the win column. And also, they do not have an easy schedule this week. It gets very tough for the defending champions after this game, but I think they're going to roll over. This game is going to be over by mid-second quarter. Matthew Stafford's going to look great. Everybody's going to look. Cooper Kupp's going to be going crazy. Allen Robinson's bum ass might even get a touchdown. But I think that the Rams will pull this one out in a nice blowout fashion. Then we've got a very important game here. NFC West showdown between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks not at Candlestick, but at Levi Stadium. This is an important game for the Niners because they need to get Trey Lance on track. They have a very tough schedule. You need to go out here and take care of your bitter rival. Make sure Geno Smith doesn't have a game that he had last week. They won't be in rain conditions. I expect the offense to be better. I expect Trey Lance to have a better game. The loss of Jamal Adams will help them, but they need to win this. They need to win this. They lose this game, and if Trey Lance has a bad performance, we're going to start to hear the Jimmy G whispers. I'm telling you, that locker room is not going to allow their season to falter, especially in the tough division they're in, with the tough schedule they got coming up. This is a must-win game early for the San Francisco 49ers, and I will pick them to pull this one out. And then we've got Bengals and Cowboys. No Dak Prescott. This is a home opener for the Bengals. It's a get right game. I think Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, they're gonna get busy. It's gonna be a blowout dub. I'm going with the Bengals to get back to get in the win column for the first time this season. And then we got a couple get right games. Even though I would not sleep on I do think the Texans won't be a good team this year, but I do think they're going to be a well-coached team. I do think that this quarterback can at least keep games tight, and I think that they'll keep this one relatively close, but I do think this is going to be a game that you're going to see Russell Wilson play like Russell Wilson. Going to get a lot of Jerry Jeudy. There's going to be some good calls here. I do think that Nathaniel Hackett will get his game plan together. They have better situational football, and I think they'll get their season right on track with the getting the win over here on the Texans, man. So I'm gonna go with the Broncos in that one. And then we've got Raiders and Cardinals, another home opener here for the Vegas Raiders. This will be Devontae Adams' home debut as a Raider. He had an amazing game last week, despite the fact that Derek Carr was trash. Devontae got busy, got a touchdown, 168 yards receiving. He had a better game than the entire Packers receiving core. They'll be at the crib. I think the Cardinals are not going to be good this season. I don't think they're going to be good. I think Kyler Murray is very overrated, and I think that we're going to get good Derek Carr this week, and the Raiders will win this game. So I'm going to go with the Raiders this week. Then we've got the Sunday night game, Packers and Bears. I will save my pick for that like I always do for 79th and Hallis Preview Podcast, which will be on the Barber's Chair Network Patreon tomorrow. So look out for that. And I will be in attendance for that game. So holla at me in Green Bay. And then we've got the Monday Night Football doubleheader. Shout out to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Great debut as the Monday Night Football color commentators. And also give a shout out to the Manning cast. They were great too. Another funny week for them. So you got two great options that you can watch Monday Night Football. It's about time that Monday Night Football felt like Monday Night Football again. It's been a while since I had that presence, mainly because the games they've been booking have not been good. I did not like any of the commentating teams they've had in a long time. So you got the guys who I feel is the best booth in the National Football League holding down the flagship show. I think it's going to be great. Now, of course, since it's a two game double header, it's not going to be them on both games, but I do think this is going to be very entertaining Monday Night Football week, just like last week was. And the first one, the Bills be opening up against the Tennessee Titans, who did not look good last week. I don't know why they got rid of AJ Brown, but it's very clear that they need him back. But they're going to get steamrolled. The Bills are going to go 2-0. They're going to be front of Bills Mafia. Little kids are going to be getting 3D through tables outside of that stadium doing a pregame. They're one of the best fan bases in football. This is going to be an ugly game. They're going to blow them out. And then in the last game of week 2, we've got Eagles and Vikings, at Lincoln Financial Field. I think that's still the name. Philadelphia fans, if there's a new company that bought that arena, I apologize. But it's going to be a raucous crowd. Eagles fans are going to be ready. I don't trust the Vikings to be consistent. I think they're going to be a very inconsistent team, just enough to win, 9 games to get one of those wild card spots. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I think the Eagles are going to go out there. I do think it'll be a close game. I think Justin Jefferson's going to get active, but I'm going to go with the Eagles, man. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this game. And so that's what I've got for week 2 and my predictions for this week. So we'll see how I do this week. I think I had a pretty good week last week, so we're going to see how that goes. And that's all I've got for you with my NFL coverage for this week. Let's get into a little bit of MLB quickly, man. The MLB playoffs are about 2.5, 3 weeks away. October, my favorite postseason is MLB playoffs. I love the NFL playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs. Love Stanley Cup playoffs. But there's nothing like the MLB playoffs, man. You living and dying off every pitch, off every swing, and we're getting closer and closer to see who's going to be in that tournament. The Dodgers, first team to clinch. They've won the NL West for like the 10th time over in like the last 11 years. So congratulations to them. But I'm here to talk about Mr. Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is having an amazing season. A lot of these races really haven't been close outside, of the AL Central between the Cleveland Guardians and the Chicago White Sox, and of course that battle in the NL East between the New York Mets and the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. Pretty much every other division and wild card has been settled. It's just a matter of seeding at this point. But Aaron Judge has been phenomenal. He is right now sitting and batting at 310. He's got 57 home runs. He is, right now chasing Roger Maris, to get past 62 home runs. He has an OPS of 1.102. He has 123 RBIs. And for all you haters out there who say, well, he's doing this only because he plays in Yankee Stadium. Out of those 57 home runs, 28 of them on the road. He's got 64 RBIs on the road, batting 304, and has an on-base percentage of 419 on the road. So, yeah, y'all are sounding crazy right now. But what I'm saying is here, he's the MVP. I love Shohei Ohtani. I think just talent-wise, Shohei Ohtani is not only the best, most talented player in baseball right now, he might be the most talented player in the history of the game. I love Shohei. He's the reigning AL MVP of last year, but he ain't MVP this year. It's this man. And the Yankees are going to have to pay the $5. And if they don't pay the $5, somebody will. I know you hear the rumors that the Boston Red Sox will love to pry them from their most hated rival. They would love to get him to anchor this new team after just letting Mookie Betts get traded, and I still don't understand. We need to stop the disrespect. This man is MVP. The Yankees got to pay him, and not only do they have to pay him, this is going to be a contract that in a couple years is going to look nasty because he's past 30. You should not play in this face, offering $220 million. That's a slap in the face to Aaron Judge. And also, the media out there, y'all got to stop discrediting Barry Bonds. He's the real home run king. And I'm glad that Aaron Judge went out there and said that, because y'all out here praising these white boys who didn't do exactly what Barry Bonds did. I don't care what steroids Barry Bonds had. You still got to learn how to hit the ball. You give me every steroid that Barry Bonds ever had in his life, I'm still not getting the ball past second base. I might not even get it to the pitcher's mound. So I'm not trying to hit that. You still got to go out there and hit the baseball, man. So give more love to Barry Bonds. Give more love to Aaron Judge. Now, the Yankees have had a terrible second half. The Yankees I believe are gonna go home in the first round more than likely. I'm not buying. I know a lot of Yankee fans out there like we still gonna get together. Baseball playoffs is all about timing, and their timing has been terrible. Now, Gleyber Torres has been better over these last couple of days. He's had a great couple games. If he steps up, that's going to help. Just don't have a lot of faith in the pitching. I don't have a lot of faith in the bullpen. And outside of Aaron Judge, who's going to consistently show up for this team come playoff time? I still think the AL goes through Houston, but get MVP to Aaron Judge, man. It's the season of the Judge, man. All rise. So that's why I got with the MLB. We're gonna wrap this up with some quick NBA talk. Donovan Mitchell was announced to the Cleveland sports and media yesterday. After this trade that happened a couple weeks ago, when he got traded from the Utah Jazz to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now there was a lot of talk about whether or not he was going to be a Knick. He sat down with Brian Windhorst yesterday, and you can see in his face he wanted to be a Knick. A New York kid. His mom still works for the Mets. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to go back home and be there. And he even told Brian Windhorst, he knows a lot more than what's been reported. He was dangerously close to being a Knick. Now, I think the story that we all know here is not this is not a situation where I would actually laugh at the Knicks. And don't get me wrong, I take every opportunity to laugh at the Knicks. But Danny Ainge was not negotiating in good faith with the Knicks. I think this comes down to him being upset about the negotiations that they were trying to do, with getting, how the way they moved with Jalen Brunson. I know a lot of owners were upset about that. Of course, we know Dallas was upset about that. Danny Ainge voices displeasure about that by them sitting at that playoff game, pretty much scouting, which was illegal to do. And I just don't think he was negotiating in good faith. He was like, you're gonna give me a ransom. You're gonna give me a whole bunch of this deal that just doesn't make sense for you if you want to get Donovan Mitchell. So I will give credit to the Knicks for not falling for the okie doke. But when it comes to this particular situation, I think it's a great trade for Cleveland. I think they didn't really they gave up some stuff, but Donovan Mitchell is an all-star. Donovan Mitchell is one of the most exciting shooting guards in the league. Now, let's be clear. I'm not the biggest fan of this guy. I think he gets away with murder. I think he's the reason, as my man Pappy says, that Jalen Brunson has generational wealth right now. But I do think for Cleveland, he fits. Now, there's a question mark. How's he going to fit with Darius Garland? Who's going to have the ball at the end of the game? How's this going to go? How are they going to make sure the bigs are big? They got some bigs over there. This is a team that on paper, this is just on paper, could win 50 games, could maybe finish second in their division. I don't know how big the gap there is between the Cavaliers and my Bulls. That's going to be something that's going to be entertaining. But I'm not buying the championship contender hype that I see some media outlets or some fans out there trying to sell. I don't think they're going to be that good, but this is a team that I think sets them up to at least be in the top 5 non-play-in situation, which I think is a massive upgrade for them. This is going to be the first time that the Cavaliers have had 3 All-Stars since LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. And this is Cleveland. Free agents don't go to Cleveland. So you're going to have to overpay a little bit to get a star of Donovan Mitchell's caliber here. So I got to give love to Kobe Altman and that whole Cleveland Cavaliers staff. And as a Bulls fan, I'm not excited to have to see, this team multiple times this year because they've got a big front line. Now you got 2 explosive guards to match up with your guards. And these Cleveland Cavalier Bulls games are going to be a lot more entertaining. And it's really going to see who's going to finish second because we all know this is Giannis' division. Who's going to finish second, in that Central Division race. But I do think it's a good trade for them, good move for them. So I give credit to them. Last topic. We all know the scandal coming out of Phoenix. Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, has been suspended for up a year. Fined $10 million for his racial slurs, his homophobic slurs, his misogynistic slurs or whatever. There's a lot of people that's upset because they didn't like the things that Adam Silver said in his press conference yesterday, saying that he could have suspended him more, but he didn't. He didn't want to get into more detail. He looked shook. This was the most shook I've ever seen Adam Silver look. And a lot of people were disappointed. They wanted him to get the Donald Sterling treatment. Now, the Donald Sterling thing is a little different than this, unfortunately, because there's audio proof. Now, we all know that it shouldn't have to have proof to get a guy of Robert Sarver's character out the paint. But you know how it comes when it comes to black issues and when it comes to women issues. The same thing happened with Ray Rice. We all knew he beat his wife up, but nothing happened until we actually saw the video, which is unfair. You shouldn't have to see the video to believe things like this. And it's the same thing that happens here. So I understand people are upset. The reason I'm not upset is because I've been trying to tell y'all for the longest what kind of guy Adam Silver was. Y'all swore he was the most progressive commissioner. This was the most progressive league just because they threw Black Lives Matter on the court during that crappy bubble. Y'all fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I've been telling y'all since day one that he was a fraud. I've been here. Come in the room of Adam Silver's a fraud. We got nice couches. There's beer in the fridge. We are waiting. So for all of you who are disappointed, maybe you'll wake up and understand that Adam Silver is just like these other sports commissioners. He's like Roger Goodell. He's like Gary Bettman. He's like Rob Manfred. They don't care about none of these players. They don't care about none of these progressive issues when it comes to race and when it comes to women. So I need y'all to wake up and finally understand what time it is. There's no progressive league in sports. There's none. Black people and women are viewed the same way they are in sports as they are in life. And you need to accept it. That's just the way it is. Stop living in a fantasy world. So that's all I got to say about that. We're going to wrap up this episode with my Goofy Mog of the Week. And I'm very happy about this one. Another guy I've been right on. There's a lot of things in life. Shout out to my guy Lotto, who I tell this to all the time. I love being right. Life is about being right. I don't care what none of y'all say. Life is about being right. I try to tell y'all for the longest time about Mr. Brett Favre. Y'all call me a hater. Y'all call me a bitter Bears fan. Da 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 da. All the coverage of this man, he makes me want to vomit. They just the way. Oh, look how he has fun jumping up. Look how he embraces his wide receivers in the crowd. Blah 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 blah. He has just as many interceptions as he has touchdowns, man. Stop treating this man like he's Tom Brady, like he's Joe Montana. I'm fed up. And I told y'all that he was a piece of shit. Not only was he an overrated quarterback, he is just not a good person. And now we see he's robbing Mississippi folks of funds. One of the most poor states in America that has majority black people. He's in cahoots with the mayor and stealing funds from the city. Now, if this was anybody else, he be getting destroyed in the media. Like Shannon Sharp said, could you imagine this was T.O. or any other black player? They'd be killing him right now. They crucified Mike Vick over dogs, bro. Dogs. Colin Kaepernick is not a lead right now because he wanted to kneel. But this dude right here is legitimately stealing money, and it's all good. We ain't heard nothing. And I don't think anything's going to happen to him. I don't think he's going to jail. I don't think he's getting fined. You're going to still see them stupid little commercials he got with Jerry Weiss. It's going to continue to run because he's a white man and they get no accountability. None whatsoever. And I got to give him Goofy Mog of the Week. I got to give y'all who thought this dude was a dude of character. And it shouldn't even came to this. What about the sexual harassment, allegations that we had a couple years ago? What about that? What about the poor relationships we had with some of his teammates? What about that? There's been a lot of signs that we've seen from this, a lot of allegations, and it just said nothing, and they continue to say nothing. But I'm here to tell you, he goofy, just like Aaron Rodgers is goofy, man. It's Packer week. Screw them. Hope we win on Sunday. So that's all I got for y'all today. This is episode 2 of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll not be doing a Monday podcast because I'll be not do a Monday show because I'll be traveling back from Lambeau Field, hopefully off a Bears win. So we'll be back next Thursday to recap the world of sports. Next week NBA is coming soon. We're about a month away from kickoff. At Chase, the Chase Center where the Golden State Warriors be getting the championship rings. Open up against the Lakers. And I understand they're the Lakers, bro. I get it. But please stop putting them on TV. Like, I'm not trying to see these dudes on TV all the time, bro. Like, and I know they're the Lakers. I know it's LeBron James. You got to give them this. I get it. I get it from marketing perspective. I don't want to see them, bro. You could have had them open up. You could have had a finals rematch. We could have had them open up against the Clippers or whatever. But anyway, the season's coming soon. So we're going to have some NBA coverage coming up soon. MLB playoffs are a couple weeks away. And we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about, man. So I want to give a shout out to my super producers, Pavi, TPJ, everybody at the HMB Media family. I want to give a shout out to y'all for watching us. Follow me on Twitter at BarbChairScott and on Instagram at BarbChairScott. Follow HB Media, HB Media TV on Twitter, and HB Media on Instagram. Follow the Barbers Chat Network on Twitter and Instagram at Barbers Chat Net. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. We have three different tiers on there for you to check out. We got a new Summer Sessions episode out right now, episode 127. Check that up. Cinema with the Guys is up as we break down episode 4 of House of the Dragon. I'll be breaking down She-Hulk next week, breaking down some of the D23 news next week, and 79th House Preview Pod will be on the Patreon tomorrow. Visit thebcnet.com. Got a lot of stuff coming with y'all, man. The store launch is coming soon. So we appreciate each and every one of y'all for checking this out. I will holler at y'all next week. Enjoy Thursday Night Football tonight. We out.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not